Jeffrey Epstein is continuing to haunt the royal family from beyond the grave, and this time it's Sarah Ferguson.
Prince Andrew's ties to Epstein already represent one of the monarchy's greatest reputational meltdowns in recent memory.
I wonder about what actual resources and tools the king has to punish Andrew.
I think we were bored of Prince Harry a long time ago. I mean,
well, how do you think we feel?
Week...
Now, the royal soap opera meets the Epstein files. Joining us live in the studio, Matt Wilkinson, royal editor of The Sun. And from sunny California, Kinsey Schofield, for all the latest with Epstein. Matt, I'm going to start with you. Could you just run us through the latest developments, the latest scout from Epstein appears to be Sarah Ferguson.
Yeah, look, Harry, Jeffrey Epstein is continuing to haunt the royal family from beyond the grave, and this time it's Sarah Ferguson. This isn't necessarily, parts of this aren't necessarily new, because we know back in 2011, Sarah Ferguson took a £15,000 loan from Jeffrey Epstein, which he owned up to and apologised. But what we had on the front page of The Sun this weekend is that actually she has sent emails to Jeffrey Epstein afterwards, after she'd actually paid this loan and been caught out paying this loan, in which she called him a supreme friend and apologised in an earlier interview for calling him a paedophile. There are mitigating factors here. Sarah says that she felt, or sources close to Sarah, I must point out.
Good caveat there, good save.
Said that she felt under threat. I mean, look, Jeffrey Epstein was allegedly sending some pretty strong threats, legal letters, talking about defamation for this interview that she had said, where she called him a paedophile. And, yeah, I mean, he is a nasty man. You know, although Sarah is a scalp, although she has owned up to this, and although she has been caught out with this email, let's not forget that he was a horrible, horrible man, Jeffrey Epstein.
Matt, how damaging is it to the wider royal family? Obviously, Sarah Ferguson has been somewhat of a fringe figure over the years. Well, ever since she was sort of caught sucking toes, she's been sort of very much out of the royal fold. Andrew, obviously, in disgrace, sitting in Windsor, sulking, not involved in the state visit last week, not involved in any official capacity, not a working royal. How much contagion, how much contamination on this story, though, is there for the king, is there for the House of Windsor?
Well, first of all, it's another hole in the head for the king, but I don't think it's actually infected the royal family yet. I think this is restricted just to Sarah Ferguson, and it's very damaging to her, because we've already seen charities walk away, some of them cancer charities, which, you know, Sarah has gone through 2 cancer struggles recently, and these are charities that she's worked so hard with, but also it could affect her financially, and that's when it's going to be a worry for the king, because if she loses work, if she loses book deals because of this scandal, or funders and backers and people want to pay for her work walk away, that's when it's going to cause a problem, because money has often been the Achilles heel for both Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. I think that's why the king will be worried.
Which presumably is why she got into a relationship and got so close into this mess with Epstein in the first place. Kinsey, Epstein's been dead for years, and each week he seems to come back to haunt a president, an ambassador, a prince. Who's next?
Well, let's hope it's no one in our cell phones or anybody that we're associated with. Prince Andrew's ties to Epstein already represent one of the monarchy's greatest reputational meltdowns in recent memory. Fergie's involvement keeps the Epstein connection alive in headlines, making it harder for the family to distance itself from this very damaging chapter. And even though Fergie's no longer married to Prince Andrew, she still carries the Duchess of York title, lives with him, attends royal events with or without him, and remains connected through her children, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie. That means, in my personal opinion, that her actions reflect, however indirectly, on the institution itself and can overshadow the royal family's attempts to survive. I mean, based on recent polling through August and September, public support for the British monarchy is at historic lows, especially among young people. These scandals threaten the royal family's credibility and authority.
6 charities have cut ties with Sarah Ferguson in the last, 12 hours or so, I'd say. Presumably that's just the beginning of her woes. What do you think happens to her next?
I mean, Meghan Markle and Sarah Ferguson are completely unpredictable, if you ask me. I don't even pretend to be psychic in that world. Can she survive this? I don't think so. I think Epstein is just such a scoundrel, and I just think that you don't want any association whatsoever. And here in the States, the Daily Beast is reporting that it was more than 15 million pounds, that it was potentially, or 15,000 pounds, that it was potentially 2 million pounds. That's Tom Sykes with the Daily Beast reporting that yesterday.
And Kinsey, I mean, you're talking in millions of pounds. You've got Jim Comey's investigation in Congress. You've got someone who has clearly hacked some emails or has been passed these emails that are being whipped around and circulated around the world. Isn't it time for, I don't know, everyone to sort of come clean now? I mean, this drip nature of these problems with Epstein it's not the way to handle it, is it? Is it not time to just sort of people to be completely open? We'd like to see Sarah Ferguson, Prince Andrew, President Trump, various others come forward and publish these documents.
Are you talking to Pam Bondi right now? Is this message for Pam?
Yeah, well, Pam, I know, is a regular viewer. So, Pam, you said they were on their desk, right? Publish them.
Exactly. I mean, I do think that it jeopardizes the credibility of the Trump administration, too, to have so many high-profile individuals working within the administration saying, just you wait, we're about to release it. You're not going to believe what we have access to. You're not going to believe what we've seen. And then suddenly go, oh, no, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. There's nothing there. There are a lot of questions that still surround whatever lists exist, whatever information, what tapes exist. But, you know, we were told at some point in time that there were security tapes that existed that might have caught some very important people in some uncomfortable positions. So absolutely, I mean, release it all. We're curious to know.
Matt, Jim Comey was on this show last Monday. He's leading the charge in Congress on the Epstein files. He says if there are files in there about Andrew, he will publish them. Might not be this tranche or the next tranche, but if he finds them, they will be coming out. How worried is Buckingham Palace about what could potentially be in there? Do they even know? Has Andrew, if he hasn't cleared the decks publicly, has he privately admitted to what could still be to come? They must know about his, the full extent of his business connections, personal connections, or, as we're hearing tonight, other connections possible between his wife and himself with Epstein.
I wonder about what actual resources and tools the king has to punish Andrew. He's stripped all his money off him. He's not allowed to be like the Queen, summoned him to Windsor Castle and stripped all his duties. There are these family events that Andrew turns up on, and they're getting more and more embarrassing the more that, as you just pointed out there, that there could be more files that are coming out. And that's all that the king has left. He doesn't actually own Royal Lodge. Royal Lodge is a Crown Estate property, and as long as Andrew can actually fund his life, which he is actually doing at the moment, then he can stay there. So if the king wants to punish him, what does he actually have left? He is his brother. We saw him, I was there the other day, and we saw Andrew actually turn up. He looked very odd. He was hanging around outside the funeral at the Duchess of Kent. He was standing next to William, trying to chat next to William. And that's the only tool, the only resource, the only punishment that the king has left now for Andrew is to stop him turning up to family events. He's done everything he possibly can to get rid of him.
He was there, sort of nudging his way in, trying to get into all the photos, always cracking jokes at a funeral. Kinsey, the guy's a liability, right? Surely it's time that he goes the way of previous errant princes and is banished from the land.
I agree, but I also agree with Matt. I mean, anything that the royal family does to punish him, for example, stripping him of his Duke of York title. Now we have to introduce Parliament for something like that. Now you're magnifying this problem. You're elevating this problem. It's going to be on the front of all the newspapers, and it's going to be something we're constantly talking about. So it's that never complain, never explain. Maybe the guy will just go away. Unfortunately, he just doesn't. And I wish that I had a solution. He does try to keep his head down for the most part, but when he shows up somewhere, it is like a bull in a china shop.
Matt, we've seen previous monarchs genuinely, I'm asking you a serious question on this one, though, genuinely banished from the land. The Duke of Windsor, was sent away after he abdicated, ended up in the Bahamas. Could we see, is there a world in which we could see generally Prince Andrew drummed out of polite society, drummed out of the country?
Well, he's such an arrogant man. I mean, he probably thinks he can turn it around. That's the issue. Is I don't think Andrew's ever really faced up to what the damage that he has caused. I know we did the Newsnight interview, and I know he's shown some kind of contrition, but in statements. But I don't actually think he actually thinks he has done this huge amount of damage to the royal family. I don't think he's aware of it. The best thing to do is what Kinsey just pointed out there. He needs to leave the country. I think he's got friends maybe in the Far East and the Middle East, and I think it would be wonderful for everybody. Especially when the king is going through cancer at the moment. He's having a really rough time. I think he's doing a fantastic job. He's got this whole Harry roadshow reunion coming down the road. If the best thing to do would be Andrew to just go away to the Middle East and hang out with some friends there.
Kinsey, we're talking about Prince Harry. He's obviously sort of being banished, but we're hearing. We'll get questions for you both on this one. We're hearing sort of. Talk of a reconciliation. There was that meeting less than an hour long, but a meeting nonetheless with the King in London last week. Is California bored of Prince Harry, and is Prince Harry bored of California?
I think we were bored of Prince Harry a long time ago. I mean,
well, how do you think we feel?
Over the weekend, we had to deal with him in a Disney special, talking about how much he loves Space Mountain. So that's the amount of his contributions here in the United States. I don't buy these royal reunions. In Us Weekly magazine last week, they talked about how Prince Harry and the King embraced, and there were tears. They just missed each other so much. I think this is Team Harry, because Harry does miss the UK, and he misses having a purpose. But I don't believe the reports that we are, that a royal reunion's on the horizon, and Prince Harry's coming back stronger than ever to help his brother Prince William carry some of the workload. I think that's silly Sussex PR stuff.
Do you think that's wishful thinking coming right out of Harry's camp himself, or do you think he's just sort of testing the water, floating ideas? Where's this coming from?
I think that it's wishful thinking. I think that they think if they say it, maybe it could come to fruition. I'm curious to see what Matt says.
Matt, the King has been pretty clear. William has been pretty clear. He cannot be a half-in, half-out royal. There is no path back for Harry, really, is there? There is no path back for Andrew.
No, not for either. I mean, I think the thing with Harry, what Kinsey's pointing out there, I think there's a lot of Sussex PR kind of flying the flag and just seeing what the public reaction is. And I think his visit the other week, he kind of pretended to be a royal. It was disguised as a royal tour. And I think there was huge public apathy. I don't think there is an appetite in the UK for him to come back. And I think the royal family were waiting for that tour to just see exactly how the public reacted to see him walking around, going to certain events. And I think the public has said, no, we don't want you back. And I think the royal family won't take him back. I question whether Harry really does actually want to come back. I think that he has to maintain some kind of royal connection, maintain this facade that he's actually close to the king, so that when he signs or when he appears in big Netflix deals or any Netflix shows, they can say that he's still close to the king. But I don't buy it. Surely
the king must see through that. He can't really enjoy being a bargaining chip for a Montecito podcast deal.
No. Well, what did he get? He got he was squeezed in the middle of some other audiences. The king had met like the Premier of South Australia, and then he'd handed out a reward to a Holocaust survivor. He was one of the shortest audiences that he had in that trip. If Harry genuinely wanted a reunion with his family, he would have come to Balmoral over the summer. There was 5 or 6 weeks when the king was there, and he could have spent a couple of days chatting to the king. It was just all for show.
Kinsey, you agree? Final thought, 2 seconds. Who will we see back first, Andrew or Harry?
Oh, no, nobody. Nobody. Nobody has the ability that Queen Camilla's had to change that public perception.
Hold that thought. This was Harry Cole Saves the West. Good night.